Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. I would like to welcome all of you to the webinar series of East Delta University. Thank you so much for being connected to us, and thanks to whoever is watching us right now. A warm welcome to all of you. We are extremely delighted to have you on this webinar, and I would like to start by introducing myself. I am Mehrab Ashrafi, and I am currently working as a lecturer at East Delta University, and tonight we are going to talk and discuss a particular topic that has a very strong impact in our personal as well as professional life, and that is basically impactful storytelling. And the title of today's webinar is actually Impactful Storytelling for Progressive Career. And tonight we will discuss how this storytelling can be an impactful factor that leads to a progressive career, and how it can act as a precursor to our professional and personal development. So for this purpose, we are extremely delighted to have two special guests amongst us here. So let me introduce them at first. So tonight we have with us Mr. Habib Ghazi, Reward Analyst, Compensation and Benefits, People and Organization Division, Grameenphone Limited. In addition to that, we also have with us Mr. Mukit Niloy, Adjunct faculty member of BRAC Business School, and he's also an independent marketing consultant. And welcome, Mr. Ghazi, and welcome, Mr. Niloy. We're extremely pleased to have you with us tonight. And we are really looking forward to learn a lot of fascinating facts regarding storytelling and how it can be made impactful and effective as well, so that it can give us an upper hand in our career. However, if you have any question, you can definitely type in, and as soon as we get it, we will try our best to provide you with the answers. Additionally, I would like to request all of you to share the event within your very own network. So now is the time for discussion. So as we know, the world is basically changing every single minute. So we want to know where the world is headed as technology, innovation, creativity happening all around here has entirely changed the business landscape. And we also want to know that where the Bangladeshi graduates actually do fit in. So without any delay, I would like to invite our guests to enlighten us regarding the impactful storytelling. So my dear guests, it's over to you. Thank you so much.
Why don't you start, Habib? Take the lead.
Okay, sure. Mehrab bhai, thank you so much for that very warm welcome. It's a beautiful introduction with this beautiful university. It's a pleasure. It's the first time I'm interacting with this university, and it's a pleasure to get to know you, and also Noshin, who is also part of the admin of that university. She's a very good friend, and also we've been very close since university days. So it's been an honor to be here. And I think regarding the topic that you guys have, is a very interesting topic you chose. Especially, it will be very important for you students because the world is headed that way. It's everything is about storytelling. Storytelling is all around us. So if it's okay with all of you guys, since the topic is about storytelling, like I would like to start with the story.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'll keep it very short. It's a very short story. So when I was very young, my dad told me this story. Okay, and it was his way of teaching me humility. So I think he used to think of me as an arrogant kid. হয়তো চিন্তা করতাম একটু বেশি বুঝি। So humility টিচ করার জন্য একটা স্টোরি বলেছিল আমাদের সবাইকে অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমার ভাই বোন আমাদের সবাইকে। তো এটা ইমাম গাজ্জালিকে নিয়ে, পার্সিয়ান একজন ফিলোসফার। So ইমাম গাজ্জালি, I don't know if it's a true story, but he said it was a true story. So the story goes like this. So Imam Ghazali উনাকে পার্সিয়ার যে কিং ছিল ওই সময়, উনাকে একটা দাওয়াতে, একটা গ্রেট ফিস্টে উনাকে প্লাস অনেক স্কলারদেরকে ইনভাইট করেছিল, এরকম একটা ডিনার পার্টি হবে। সো উনি আসেন, ইনভিটেশন পেয়ে, ফর্মাল ইনভিটেশন, কিং অফ পার্সিয়া ইনভাইট করেছে, তো উনি আসছেন। সবাই ঢুকছে, স্কলার সবাই ঢুকছে, এবং ইমাম গাজ্জালি অনেক পপুলার একটা স্কলার। কিন্তু ফর সাম রিজন উনি যখন ঢুকতে আসছেন, গেট কিপার ওনাকে ঢুকতে দেন নাই। তো উনি বললো সবাই ঢুকছে, আমার ইনভিটেশন আছে, আমাকে ঢুকতে কেন দেওয়া হচ্ছে না? তো ওনাকে বলা হয় যে আপনি যে কাপড়টা পরে আসছেন, এই কাপড়টা অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমাদের যে পার্সিয়ান কিং এর প্যালেসে ঢুকার মতন এর কাপড় না, এটা খুব এরকম সিম্পলের মধ্যে গর্জিয়াস হচ্ছে না জিনিসটা। আপনি কাপড়টা যদি ঠিক মতন না পরে আসতে পারেন, আমরা আপনি ঢুকতে দিতে পারছি না। তো উনি অনেক চিন্তা করলে বললো আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে আমি আসছি। গেল, উনি একটা ফ্রেন্ডের বাসায় গেল, ফ্রেন্ডের বাসা থেকে গিয়ে একটা সুন্দর একটা কোট বা একটা স্যুট পরে, ওই সময়কার যে স্যুটের মতন যে ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট কাপড় ছিল ওটা পরে উনি আসেন, তো ওনাকে দেখে সাথে ঢুকতে দিয়ে দেওয়া হয়। তো যখন ডিনার টেবিলে বসেন, ডাইনিং টেবিলে সব স্কলাররা ডিনার নিয়ে স্টার্ট করেছে, খাওয়া শুরু করেছে, সবার খাওয়া স্টপ হয়ে যায়। ইভেন কিং যে রাজা ছিলেন উনিও থেমে যান ইমাম গাজ্জালিকে দেখে। সবার নজর ইমাম গাজ্জালির দিকে। তো যেটা হয়েছে যে ইমাম গাজ্জালি, সবাই খাচ্ছে, ইমাম গাজ্জালি কিন্তু নিজে খাচ্ছিলেন না। ফর সাম রিজন উনি ওনার খাওয়াগুলো ওনার কাপড়কে খাওয়াচ্ছিলেন, ঠিক আছে? সো ওনার যে জ্যাকেট বা উনি যে স্যুটটা পরে আসছিলেন, হি স্টার্টেড ফিডিং হিজ ক্লোথস। তো সবাই মানে ঠিক বুঝে নেয় ইদার লোকটা পাগল, নাইলে মানে কিছু একটা হয়েছে। সো কিং নিজে জিজ্ঞাসা করলেন যে গাজ্জালি, ইমাম গাজ্জালি, কি মানে আপনি কাপড়কে কেন খাওয়াচ্ছেন? তো উনি বললো যে আমাকে অ্যাকচুয়ালি এখানে ঢুকতে দেওয়া, মানে আমি আমার কারণে, আমার পার্সোনালিটি বা আমি যে মানুষটা, আমাকে আমার জন্য ঢুকতে দেওয়া হয় নাই, জাস্ট বিকজ আমি কাপড়টা, সুন্দর কাপড়টা পরে আসছি, এই কাপড়টার জন্য আমাকে আজকে ঢুকতে দেওয়া হলো। অ্যাকচুয়ালি কাপড়টা ডিজার্ভ করে, খাওয়াটা আমি ডিজার্ভ করি না। তো পরে আমি আমার আব্বুকে বললাম যে ভাইয়া, আব্বু লোকটা হয়তো আসলে পাগল ছিল। তো মানে আমার আব্বু বললো যে না, পাগল ছিল না, বাট উনি জানতেন যে এই ইনসিডেন্টটা এটা একটা স্টোরি হয়ে যাবে, এবং এই স্টোরিটাই মানুষ আরো রিপিট করবে, এবং এইটা থ্রুতে মানুষ হিউমিলিটি শিখবে। সো আমার এই স্টোরি শেয়ার করার রিজনটা হলো এইটা না যে উনি যে স্টোরি এত পাওয়ারফুল একটা স্টোরি বলেন, এটা না। আমার আব্বু স্টোরিটা অ্যাকচুয়ালি সামথিং অ্যারাউন্ড 25 বছর আগে এই স্টোরিটা আমাকে বলেছিলেন, এবং একবারই বলেছিলেন, এই স্টোরি আমার মনে আছে এখনো। সো দ্যাটস দ্য থিং অ্যাবাউট স্টোরিজ। আমি যদি এই স্টোরিটাই কোন একটা পাওয়ার পয়েন্টে হয়তো বুলেট পয়েন্টস হিসাবে দেখতাম, আমার হয়তো স্টোরিটা মনে হতো না আজকে। সো 20 থেকে 25 বছর হয়ে গেছে, আমি এখন এই স্টোরিটা বাই ডিটেলস পুরোপুরি আমার মনে আছে স্টোরিটা। So that's the power of storytelling, and this is what we're trying to talk about today. So thank you. I am Habib. I'm Habib Ghazi, and Mukit, if you'd like to start.
Yeah, I am Mukit. I'm a professional marketeer, and I teach part time in my own business school, which is a delightful thing to do. And this is my first time interacting with students from Chittagong, so I was very, very, very excited. Before, every time we went there, or any interaction was for travel purposes, but being connected with a university from Chittagong, I feel very special. And storytelling, it yeah, it's I completely agree with Habib that every story has an impact, and that every story lives on with us. But we have this idea that okay, storytelling is probably only for entertainment purposes. অথবা আমরা স্টোরি বলতেছি শুধুমাত্র শুধু আমাদের মনোরঞ্জনের জন্য, অথবা সিনেমা দেখাটা। But at the same time, if you take a look at recent Harvard research, it is, according to Harvard, it is one of the strategic business tools. So it is on par with your Excel sheet and programming skills that Harvard বলতেছে যে তোমার স্টোরি টেলিং এ যে কোম্পানিটা যত ভালো, সেই কোম্পানিটা হচ্ছে কি আপনার তত তত এক্সেল করবে। আমি ছোট্ট একটা এক্সাম্পল দিই যে এগেন যখন আমরা কর্পোরেশনে কাজ করতেছি বা এনি বিজনেসে যখন আমরা কাজ করতেছি, উই আর অলওয়েজ caught up with being very logical, being very what do you call it, যে আপনার একদম লজিক ধরে 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 ডিসিশন নেওয়া। But at the same time, storytelling is so powerful, and oftentimes it will surplus the power of logic. Let me give an example. Coca-Cola, for example. Coca-Cola is world's biggest carbonated drink, right? So if you're competing with Coke, logically speaking, what do? You will come up with something that's cheaper than Coke. That's something that tastes better than Coke, and it will be more available to the people. But do you know the drink that remotely got close to Coca-Cola sale is not any other carbonated drink, as in cola drink na, it's Red Bull. And because Red Bull was not going with the logic, they were going with the story that they reached out to individual people who are adrenaline junkies, and they told their stories. And by the power of stories, Red Bull is the closest competitor of Coca-Cola. It's a favorite story of mine. I thought I would compete with Habib with my story, but yeah, let's see where we can go with this session in next 1 hour. And we love telling stories. Every time we get a chance, we hear stories, we learn stories from work, from our personal lives, and I think stories they're extremely powerful even when it comes to your career.
সো ওকে ভাই, একটা সিম্পল কথা যেটা হচ্ছে যখন আমরা স্টোরি টেলিং ওয়ার্ডটা শুনি, ইট সাউন্ডস লাইক যেটা খুব এক্সট্রোভার্টেড পারসনদের জন্য। সো বেসিক্যালি এমন কি কোনো রুল আছে বা এমন একটা প্রিকনসিভ নোশন থাকে যে ওকে
I
আমি
love this
এক্সট্রোভার্টেড,
question.
আমি স্টোরি বলতে পারবো, কিন্তু আমি তো ইন্ট্রোভার্টেড, আমি স্টোরি বলতে পারবো না। সো আপনি একটু, ইফ ইউ পুট ইউর পার্সপেক্টিভস
Right.
ইনটু ইট, যে কোন কোন কনসেন্ট্রেশন এরিয়ার স্টুডেন্টসরা বেসিক্যালি স্টোরি টেলিং এর মধ্যে যাবে, মানে কোন স্পেসিফিক সেগমেন্ট থাকবে, নাকি এটা প্রত্যেকটা প্রত্যেকটা ইন্ডিভিজুয়াল পার্সনের জন্য? So if you could
This
shed
is an
light.
excellent question. An excellent question. I love when anybody will ask me about the extrovert and the introvert. A question to যখন জিজ্ঞেস করা হয়, I get very excited because again, this is something that I learned from Habib. In one of the sessions, one of our students asks, I think আমি ছিলাম, হাবিব ছিল, আর আমাদের ফাউন্ডার মেম্বারও ছিল প্রেজেন্টেশন স্কিলস এর। এটাকে একটু বলে নেই, আমি আর হাবিব, we along with a very capable team in BRAC University Savar campus, we run this program called the Presentation Skills. We teach undergraduate students about storytelling, public speaking, professional networking, case cracking, anything that we believe that a 2020 একটা university student needs to know. So we do that. We've been doing that for the last 6 years. Back to the story. So this student asks the same question, similar question that you asked. আমি তো introvert, আমি তো এরকম public speaking বা storytelling করতে পারবো না. Then Habib gives this beautiful answer. He's like, do you know who else was a very big introvert? Michael Jackson, biggest musical storyteller in the history of music.
This is a famous.
Yeah, he is so famous, and he told hundreds of stories through his music. He danced, he told stories, he did music videos, he traveled around the world, but he was an extreme introvert. So I will let Habib finish the answer, but I will add one more thing that for the students, if you're watching, I always try and say that to my students and whoever is listening, that introvert and extrovert, it's not a bad thing or a good thing. Like you can be very extrovert with introvert tendencies. You can also be very introvert with extrovert tendencies. We are all a balance in between these two. Nobody is completely extrovert and nobody is completely introvert. So with that, I will let Habib finish the answer.
Yeah, I think a very important thing that you said, Niloy, that there is no such thing as maybe an extrovert can do that an introvert cannot do. I think for us, everyone is a storyteller. That's my belief. And I think most experts who are working on psychology, on public speaking, experts on public speaking and even storytelling, they'll tell you the same, that everyone is a story. You have a storyteller in you. And সবচেয়ে biggest stories কিন্তু আমাদের নিজের লাইফে, কিন্তু we are our biggest stories. আমাদের লাইফে মানে সব টপিকের সাথে কিন্তু আমাদের লাইফে কিছু না কিছু একটা স্টোরি আছে যেটা আমরা রিলেট করতে পারবো। আমরা আমাদের স্টোরিজ রিলেট করতে পারবো রেসিজমের সাথে, আমাদের স্টোরিজ রিলেটেড করতে পারবো স্ট্রাগলের সাথে, আমাদের স্টোরিজ রিলেট করতে পারবো ফ্রেন্ডশিপের, লাভের সাথে, উইথ এভরিথিং, ওয়ার, পিস, ডিজিজ, সবকিছুর সাথে আমাদের স্টোরি, আমরা আমাদের লাইফে এক্সপিরিয়েন্স। The more you live, the more you have experiences, the more stories you can tell. এটা এক্সট্রোভার্টের জন্য ট্রু, এটা ইন্ট্রোভার্টের জন্য ট্রু। ইন্ট্রোভার্টও they have their own challenges, they have their own way of seeing the world. ওরা যেভাবে পৃথিবীটাকে দেখে, এটাই কিন্তু ওদের একটা স্টোরি। Okay, and they can choose how they tell their story. So everyone, my belief is everyone is a storyteller, whether you are an introvert or an extrovert. It's how you find out, how you unlock those stories and find your way to tell it. And I think এটা শুরু হয় once you start to realize storytelling কত powerful এবং কত important. এটা রিয়েলাইজ করলে then you start using it. You can use storytelling in, আমরা সবসময় বলি হয়তো প্রেজেন্টেশনসে, জব ইন্টারভিউসে, বাট স্টোরি টেলিং কিন্তু সব কিছুতে চলে আসে। মানে ইভেন when you are making your first attempt, মানে maybe you are making your first attempts, maybe you are trying to, maybe you are falling in love, you are approaching your wife maybe, or your future wife, or maybe you are going to become a dad. All of these things are stories in your life. So, and all of these things you can bring when you are talking with people and connecting with people.
Great, wonderful. Thank you so much, Mukit and Habib, basically letting us know about the main and basic concept of storytelling. So maybe we are jumping into basically second point of discussion, which is basically as a student or from the perspective of the recent graduates. So what do you think that what are the basic developments needed right now, and how we can adjust and cope up with the changing environment? Like কিছুদিন আগে environment একরকম ছিল business perspective, এখন completely tech এর কারণে সবকিছু চেঞ্জ হয়ে যাচ্ছে. Plus how we can learn to adapt first and then carving out our own journey. So what do you think of this?
Niloy, do you want to take it or do I start?
If you're excited, go start. Or
okay, all right. Now, I think I want to add to this. আমি যদি আমাদের এই সেশনটা নিয়ে একটা এক্সাম্পল দিই, আমাদের এই সেশনটা যদি কোভিড এর আগে হতো, ইভেন 3-4 মাস আগে হতো, আমরা মোস্ট লাইকলি এই সেশনটা হয়তো ওয়েবিনার থ্রুতে করতাম না। মোস্ট লাইকলি ইডিইউ আমাদেরকে ফ্লাইট বুক করে আমাদেরকে ফ্লাই করে নিয়ে যেত, তারপরে আমরা ওখানে একটা লাইভ সেশন অ্যাটেন্ড করতাম।
মেজবান খাইতাম আমরা,
অ্যাকচুয়ালি মেজবান খেতে পারতাম, ঢাকার মেজবান না, অ্যাকচুয়ালি চিটাগাং মেজবান। So
Dewan bhai, এটা কিন্তু একটা this is the Habib is telling you that once the pandemic is over, we're willing to travel.
Inshallah. So
exactly, why not? It will be absolutely a pleasure to have you guys here at East Delta University.
Inshallah.
We're really looking forward to have you after the pandemic is over.
So যেটা বলছিলাম যে even 4 months ago আমাদের সেশনটা কিন্তু ডিফারেন্ট হতো, but see circumstances have changed. We are adapting to technology at a pace যেটা হয়তো কেউ ওইভাবে ইমাজিনও করে নাই। There are a lot of CEOs that are saying that Zoom CEO, for example, he was saying in an interview যে আমরা যে টেকনোলজিক্যাল অ্যাডভান্সমেন্ট চিন্তা করছিলাম would happen in maybe the next 10 years, by 2030. We are seeing it happen now in 2020. 2 বছর, 5 বছর, 10 বছর টেকনোলজিক্যাল অ্যাডভান্সমেন্ট বা অ্যাডভান্সমেন্ট ঠিক অ্যাডপশন, মানুষের বিহেভিয়ার এবং অ্যাডপশন চেঞ্জ হয়ে গেছে because of what we are seeing with the COVID-19 situation. So see, আমাদের কিন্তু we have to adapt and we have to adopt things as well. So আমি স্টুডেন্টদের জন্য যেটা বলবো, storytelling is very important, but storytelling এর জন্য you also need to have the right tools. For example, you need to know how to use certain tools. আমাদের খুব মানে একদম যদি closest example দেই, PowerPoint. Definitely there is very little few alternatives when you're telling a story with some tools. But other than that, আমাদের স্টোরি বলার কিন্তু আরো অনেক মেথড আছে। মাইক্রোসফট এক্সেল, আমি বলবো এটা মানে এটা হয়তো সবাই চিন্তা করে it's a tool for crunching numbers, but you can tell so many amazing stories using Microsoft Excel. আরেক ধাপ আগায় যাই, Tableau is an analytical tool. You learn how to use Tableau, you can tell stories through Tableau. So these are some maybe technological tools that I'm talking about. You also need to know some skills. Storytelling is one of them, but you also need to know how the world around you is looking like. What are the changes around you? How is the world looking right now in Bangladesh, outside of Bangladesh? You want to tell your stories, you have to be relevant and you have to know the circumstances around you to tell those stories. So আমার যেটা মনে হয় যে স্টুডেন্টদের জন্য খুবই ইম্পর্টেন্ট আপ টু ডেট থাকা, know your tools and get a hang of some of the basic tools right now before it's too late, and always keep learning. আমাদের মানে if you look at the greatest storytellers that there are, Steve Jobs বলি আমরা, Bill Gates, Barack Obama, all of these people, they were great storytellers, but ওরা খুবই aware ছিল, খুবই aware মানুষ কিন্তু। They knew about the world around them, they knew about science, they knew about medicine, they knew about astronomy, they knew about science fiction, about mythology, সব কিছু নিয়ে ওদের awareness আছে। So I think আমাদের স্টুডেন্টদের জন্য and even young professionals, it's very important to be aware.
Very good, very good. I will take from where Habib left about learning. I would specifically talk about learning, since the question was how do you deal with changes happening around us all the time, and I think learning is the biggest weapon. But I will focus on how you learn in a professional manner. When we were students, the Bangladeshi education system teaches you how to repeat information. So you learn, you memorize something, and then whoever can reproduce whatever they memorize gets the most amount of marks. But sadly, the real life doesn't work that way. If you're working, if you're trying to do your own business, it won't work if you only you're repeating whatever you learn. You have to be creative and put your own interpretation into it. So I think আমাদের স্টুডেন্টদের জন্য, and even young professionals, it's very important to be aware. So, Habib, you want to take from where Habib left about learning? I would take from where Habib left about learning. So when we were students, the Bangladeshi education system teaches you how to repeat information. So you learn, you memorize something, and then whoever can reproduce whatever they memorize gets the most amount of marks. But sadly, the real life doesn't work that way. If you're working, if you're trying to do your own business, it won't work if you only So my favorite designer in the entire planet Art is Christo. So unar ekta kotha আছে যে the first thing about learning that you need to master is about how to unlearn. That everything you learn today is going to be obsolete in next 5 to 10 years. So it's very important for you to unlearn whatever you learn today and then find out what's going on in the present world. Habib jeta bollo je being aware. So constantly learning and unlearning. And the more you learn, your stories uh, will be very deep, very, very, very deep. Another quote from one of my favorite musicians, John Mayer, is he says that your audience is 10 times smarter than you think they are. So if you're telling a story without having the background knowledge about it, trust me, your audience will know in a second, and you lose your credibility. সেটা জব ইন্টারভিউতে হতে পারে, সেটা একটা ক্লাসরুমে হতে পারে, সেটা আপনার বিজনেস পার্টনারের সাথে হতে পারে, বা আপনার বসের সাথে হতে পারে. So yeah, that's that. I think we
Great.
have a question, Mehrab bhai.
Exactly. I think we should take the question, which is absolutely an amazing and fantastic question, that how Excel and Tableau, which is actually a kind of data visualization tool, সেগুলো দিয়ে actually কিভাবে story বলবো, কিভাবে ডেটাকে স্টোরিতে কনভার্ট করবো. Habib bhai, if you could put your perspectives into it.
What I've learned is, with regards to Excel and Tableau and many other tools, there is IBM Watson, there are so many other tools that help you analyze data. সব ডেটার পিছনে every number tells a story. So for us, আমাদের সবচেয়ে ইম্পর্টেন্ট হলো ওই জিনিসটাকে, এই ডেটাটাকে অর্গানাইজ করা. Maybe of a bunch of numbers, try to find a pattern. মানে আমি যেটা সবসময় করি, even when I'm trying to work with Excel, even when I'm trying to work with my colleagues, what I've learned at my workplace is try to arrange the data and try to find patterns in the data. Once you find a pattern, now this pattern will tell you a story. Why are our sales going down? Why are our people not being happy in their work? Amader office, for example, you can find if you people are engaged in your workplace or they're not engaged by looking at numbers. So you have to find those patterns and then arrange them in a way that you can tell others, show others, see the pattern. This is what the numbers are saying. This is the story. So you yourself have to do your homework first. You have to know how to find patterns, look for patterns, and then you have to know how to organize patterns and these stories within the numbers, and then you display them. And Excel, Tableau, these are beautiful tools to arrange the data এবং visualize করতে help করে. You have so many tools. এখানে মানে একদম basic tools যদি বলি, for example, you have things like graphs, bar charts. You have these things, right? Pie charts. These tell one story. But then you can use just numbers if you know how to represent. Rather than, এটা আমাদের presentation skills classও share করি. মানে sometimes maybe you don't need a bar chart or a graph to tell a story. Maybe just that one number can tell an entire story for you. মানে পুরো একটা হয়তো bar chart দেখায় how profits are increasing or how people engagement is decreasing. Just that one number, that in the last 1 year, 60% of our employees said that they have not had any engagement event at their company. 60%. That's a very alarming number, right? So that's what you do. Rather than showing an entire graph or a bar chart, you just highlight. It's very simple. You just highlight 60% of people said there has not been one engagement event in the last 1 year. And then you'll have your executives think like, oh my God, 60% of people are not happy that we are not having any events and engagement events. So it's as simple as using one number, or as complex and as time consuming as using very complex bar charts. So it depends on the kind of information you're trying to show and how much time and effort you're actually putting into identifying the patterns yourself first.
Exactly. So your data is your story, basically. You just need to know how you need to interpret it. Absolutely.
Exactly. So you have to interpret it yourself first, and then you share it with people.
Absolutely. With that, do you want to say something regarding this pattern of data visualization?
Like I can go on. Like I'll share a small story. I'll give you a marketing perspective. Say হচ্ছে কি, I was working for Grameenphone. That's where my career started. And so with Excel files, I sat down and I could see that there were pockets. We used to do business through our distributor, and then there were responsible for a particular geographical location. So I could see that area 1 is doing really well, area 2 is doing really well, area 3 is doing really, really bad, but all the things are the same. But eventually you dig down and you find more information that, okay, maybe that particular area has bad network and competitor has a very good network. So yes, Habib is very right when he's talking about organizing your data and creating your story. But I will touch upon a very important perspective, that is try and connect the dots. If you can take two pieces of information or two pieces of data and connect it and tell one story, that's wonderful. I'll give you an example. Sales went down in rainy season, right? And you ask why? Because of the bad weather, or because of maybe কৃষকের ধান উঠে না এবার. So two industries are interconnected. So you have to connect the dots and then interpret your stories. So Yasin's question is beautiful. Is beautiful. You how we would also think, okay, আমরা একটা data analysis এর software দিয়ে কিভাবে আমরা story বলবো? Story তুমি বলবা. They will only help you build your storyboard. একটা professional filmmaker যখন সিনেমা বানায়, they write scripts, they write the storyboards first. So these tools, they are nothing but they're helping you with building your story, but you are the storyteller. Yasin, you will tell your story regardless of which tool you're using.
Exactly, great. Yasin, Arafat, thank Mr. Habib. Ghazi, for your beautiful reply. Thank you for your beautiful question.
Actually, I thank him for the question. It's a very, very good question.
Exactly.
He's thinking. I like that.
He is thinking.
Absolutely. So we are jumping into basically the third point of discussion. Like as we're talking and focusing mostly on impactful storytelling, so আমার মনে হয় সেখানে actually communication skill-এর ব্যাপারটা চলে আসে, যে আমি যেভাবে communicate করতে পারবো হয়তো একটা individual যে আমার থেকে একটু different বা different life experiences বা different personality trait যারা আছে, তার communicating patternটা হয়তো same হবে না. So basically I would like to know that how the communication skills can impact the storytelling, and another point is that how we can relate better with the audiences, কারণ হচ্ছে যে audience তো different type এর audiences different mindset থাকে. So আমি একটা story দিয়ে কি সবার মাথার মধ্যে একটা impact ফেলতে পারবো নাকি না, and are there any specific techniques to that, and how can we actually create an approach that will be completely on our own, that how we can completely create an approach of ourselves. So যদি এই ব্যাপারে একটু কিছু বলতেন, anyone.
There are a lot of questions. I will touch upon one thing, that is একটা question যেটা I think I can personally relate to it, that how communication skills কিভাবে হচ্ছে আপনার storytellingটাকে impact করতেছে, and then how you communicate better with somebody who's not necessarily in your wavelength, right? Who's a little different.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful question, Dewan bhai. There are many ways to it, but I would tell you my personal story. That me personally, I am genuinely interested in people. I am very interested in their stories. What's your story? Who do you have at home? What makes you happy? What's the color of your shirt? Why are you wearing that particular color of shirt? And I think as a marketeer, I am trained to ask these questions that I can come up with a product for you. Maybe it's that. So the more you ask questions, the more you show interest in people, you will adapt to that particular individual's communication style. For example, when you're talking to your boss, Dewan bhai, the way you will speak versus when you will speak to your favorite dokandar, it would be very different. And we all know how to exactly. And we Grameenphone interview there, when I was speaking to my interviewers in English, their biggest concern was that if I would be able to communicate out in the streets with the retailers, when I realized that that's their concern, I stopped them. I was like, listen, I am born and brought up in Dhaka. I can communicate in street. Then I had to speak in the local dialect for them to understand. I have that. I have that dynamics. Everyone has that. You just have to be a little bit more curious about the person that you're talking to. And second thing, communication skill কিভাবে আপনার storytelling কে impact করে. This is like riding a bicycle. যখন আপনি বাইসাইকেলে চড়তেছেন, you're not really thinking আচ্ছা আমার ব্যালেন্সটা ডান দিকে চলে যাচ্ছে বা ব্যালেন্সটা বাম দিকে চলে যাচ্ছে বা আমি পড়ে যাচ্ছি. You learn it, and then you basically you make a lot of mistakes, you fall down, but eventually when you do it long enough, you just have to look where you're going. And that being said, that you do have to practice. You have to practice on how you speak. You have to practice how you sit up straight, or how you listen, where you look initially. But eventually it will become a second nature to you. But the students, whoever is watching, initially it will feel like you will freeze in front of people while telling stories. But as you do it long, trust me, you'll fall in love with this process. And when you're impacting একসাথে 50 জন বা 100 জন by telling your story, I think that's the hidden incentive for you to keep on telling your own story. I will let Habib take the rest of the question.
Sure, Habib.
I will of course trail from where Mukit left off. I think আমাদের communication skills এর কিছু basics আছে. For example, আমাদের context যে বলি বাংলাদেশের context এ, university students এর context এ, the language, English language is definitely one of the very basics of communication skills. এবং এটার, to be very honest, there is no alternative. And there are many ways. এটা, as university students or even young professionals, we know there are different sources. You can pick language up by reading books, by listening, watching English news. আমাদের ছোটবেলা থেকে বলা হতো ইংলিশ BBC দেখো, খবর কাগজ পড়ো. And এটা true, there are no alternatives to these. And you watch movies maybe with English subtitles. But language is very important. And I think it সবার জন্য practice করা উচিত. I mean, I'll be blunt, যে you continue improving yourself on the side of language. Language এর এন্ডে আমাদেরকে সবসময় improve করতে হতে হবে. But apart from that, communication is খুবই একটা basic. মানে আমার personally, I believe this, যে when you're communicating, I think being genuine is very important. Rather than trying to be someone else or trying to sound like someone else, আমি যে মানুষটা, who I am, me myself, it's very important to be me. So if I'm genuine, what happens is people start listening to me. যে এই মানুষটা এর মধ্যে নাই, মানে প্রিটেনশন নাই, মানে হি ইজ নট ট্রাইং টু বি প্রিটেনশিয়াস, হি ইজ নট ট্রাইং টু বি সামওয়ান এলস, হি ইজ টেলিং আস হিজ ওন স্টোরি. পিপল কানেক্ট উইথ দ্যাট. এন্ড জেনুইন হওয়ার যেটা আরেকটা অ্যাঙ্গেল হলো, যে আমি যেটা বলছিলাম ফার্স্টে, যে উই অল আর স্টোরি টেলার্স, আমাদের সবারই কিন্তু স্টোরিজ আছে. সো আই থিঙ্ক কানেক্ট করার জন্য দ্য বেস্ট ওয়ে টু কমিউনিকেট ইজ ইউজিং আওয়ার ওন স্টোরিজ. আমাদের এক্সপিরিয়েন্স এবং আমাদের যে নলেজগুলো আছে, শেয়ারিং দ্যাট উইথ পিপল, connecting from who we are and being genuine. I think that is one of the biggest basics of having a good communication. So এই জিনিসটা খুবই ইম্পর্টেন্ট আমার কাছে মনে হয়.
Great. Actually, আমার একটা প্রশ্ন আছে regarding যেটা আমরা বললাম যে we need to be as genuine as possible when we actually tell our story. তো আমার একটা প্রশ্ন হলো যে আমাদের often graduatesরা চিন্তা করতে পারে এভাবে যে do we have something called a good story or a bad story? Because আমার স্টোরিটা হতে পারে একজনের জন্য টেইলার্ড করা. ইন আদার ওয়ার্ডস, ইফ ইউ টক অ্যাবাউট দ্য টার্গেট মার্কেট এক্সাম্পল ফর, দেন আমাদের স্টোরিটা মেবি একজনের জন্য টেইলার করা, বাট সেটা অন্য একটা গ্রুপের জন্য কাজ নাও করতে পারে. সো হোয়াট ডু ইউ থিঙ্ক অ্যাবাউট দিস? ইজ দেয়ার এনিথিং সামথিং কল্ড এ গুড স্টোরি অর এ ব্যাড স্টোরি, অর প্রত্যেকটা স্টোরি গুড স্টোরি?
It's very subjective.
It's আমার কাছে যেটা মনে হয় যে there is no good or bad story, there is a relevant story. আমার যেটা মনে হয় যে রেলেভেন্স ইজ ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট. আমি যে স্টোরিটা বলছি, ইট শুড বি রেলেভেন্ট উইথ দ্য টপিক অর দ্য সিচুয়েশন দ্যাট আই এম ইন. আমার স্টোরিটা ব্যাড হইতে পারে, বাট ওই সিচুয়েশনের জন্য মেবি ইজ দ্য রাইট স্টোরি. সো relevance is what matters here, আমার opinion.
But do you think there is a universal story for everybody that fits?
Exactly, that's what I want to talk about. Is there any universal story?
There shouldn't be one story that will fit everywhere, but it should be your story. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
Whatever story you're trying to tell, it should be something that you know of or you yourself have experienced. It should be from you.
And I think we should move away from the whole idea of a good story and a bad story, because the opposite of a good story doesn't have to be a bad story. It can be another good story. Maybe you like a story and I like a different story. Not good or bad. It's just different. That's what I believe in. A universal story. Pepper. I mean, exactly. I don't know where do I want to lean, but there have been excellent movies that everybody loved. But then again, I don't think I would like to believe that the one story fits all is not very I don't know. I don't want to lean towards any direction.
No,
But
see, if you have a fixed story and you try to fit it in all situations, maybe all
I
of
don't
a
think
sudden
that's
you
gonna
see
work.
all of a sudden you see you're in a situation where that story doesn't connect in any way,
Yeah,
and then you'll be
exactly.
caught
Yeah,
off guard. So you
yeah,
don't want to be caught
exactly.
off guard. So ওই এটা again এটার জন্য আমি যেটা বলছিলাম যে awareness. So you
Awareness
also
is
should be
important.
aware of the audience that you're with. Let's talk
Yeah.
about a bad story. What can be a bad story? A bad story can be maybe something that is embarrassing for me, or that is a tough subject to talk about, or that is something very controversial, right? But then maybe in a certain situation or a
That
certain
would
topic,
be.
that would be relevant.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Maybe talking about, for example, the Holocaust, or talking about what Hitler did, or talking
Yeah.
about Donald Trump. Maybe these are not very pretty subjects, but in certain situations, maybe they are the right stories.
ওয়ান্ডারফুল। সো আমার আরেকটা প্রশ্ন ছিল, এটা আমি অ্যাকচুয়ালি করবো মুকিত ভাইকে, যে আমরা যখন বেসিকলি স্টোরিটা বেসিকলি ডেভেলপ করি, সো স্টোরি ডেভেলপ করার
Repeat
সময়
করেন kindly. Can you repeat করেন আবার?
আচ্ছা, সো whenever we basically create stories, আমাদেরকে কি, for example, we all the time we actually tell stories. So whenever we get into the interview board, for example, is the interviewer having the time to listen to my stories, or how long shall I keep it? For example, as in just in like a sales pitch, আমি কি 1 মিনিটের করব, 2 মিনিটের করব, 5 মিনিটের করব? So
Right.
কতটুকু করলে that will basically standard or threshold meet
Right.
করবে?
Right. Okay. I will teach you what I do. I'm not claiming this is right or wrong. I will tell you that if I was in an interview, this is what I will do. When I am talking to somebody, I always check the temperature of the room. By that, what I mean is I see where the person is looking. I see. I look for the non-verbal cues. If the shoulder is up or the shoulder is down, or leaning back or leaning forward. Does he have a phone in his hand? How does he look? Does he look happy? Does he look angry? Because we're all human beings. Maybe you're having a good day, maybe you're having a bad day. I engage with that person. I make eye contacts. I start an answer. I speak for 5 to 10 seconds. Then I pause. Then I ask them, am I on the right direction, Bhaiya? Or do you think is this what you're? So যেটা হয় কি তখন হচ্ছে গিয়ে you engage the audience. I'm talking like 3 people who are doing your interview. So তখন যেটা হয় আমি যেটা face করছি, they stop whatever they're doing, they're engaged, and then you make eye contacts. You can't just talk to one person the whole time. You have to look at that person, look to the other person, look to the other person, and then use pauses to your benefit. If I keep on talking like this for next 30 seconds, you will go and kill you. I can't do that, right? So I will like slow down, I'll smile, I'll look. And so I think again, Habib made a beautiful point, being aware. Like if you're checking for the room temperature, যে রুমের কি অবস্থা, car wavelength কেমন, and then if I can match that, I think that's and again, this will fade. I'm not saying that this will work 10 out of 10 times. Maybe it won't work, but it worked for me. And so yeah, I hope I could answer your question, Mehrab.
That's wonderful answer, wonderful reply. So আরেকটা প্রশ্ন ছিল regarding the storytelling, যে যদি আমরা বললাম যে it needs to be personalized, we need to be aware as well. So এই storytelling এর সাথে empathy relationshipটা কতটুকু? But do we really need to be empathetic while telling our story? I mean, consumer বা আমার যে সামনে যে next personটা আছে তার pulse বুঝে shall I need to customize it? Or একটা ইউনিভার্সাল সো আমি একটা পেজ বানালাম, like just like a self page, and আমি ওটা ডেলিভার করতে থাকলাম day after days?
I think I can add a little here. Empathy if I define empathy, empathy is basically, again, it's connecting with the people that you're going to talk with. And not all people will be the same. Your audience will not always be the same, right? By empathizing, it has to be two-way. You also want to be in their shoes, and you also want to make them feel like they're in your shoes, right? So it goes both ways. So first of all, to empathize, you need to know the type of audience that you are with, and this will differ from a school setting to a professional setting to a conference setting. It depends on it. So you may have a standard presentation, but then presentation or slide tag into primary na. It's secondary, it's backup. You are primary, you are the storyteller, right? And that's how you adjust from audience to audience. So you have to be able to adjust. And when you talking about them empathizing with you, that's where your own story comes in. So you get them to empathize with you by telling them about who you are, your fears, your weaknesses, your strengths, what makes you happy, what you are proud about, what gets you excited. So when you share your story or who you are through stories, they empathize with you. They can know, okay, this is the guy who is in front of us. Let's hear what he has to say. So empathy through এইটা হয়। পিক্সারের মুভি আমরা দেখি, তাই না? ডিজনি পিক্সারের মুভি। We have, I'm sure you have watched films like Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc., Toy Story, এবং এই মুভিগুলো এত বিউটিফুলি সবার সাথে কানেক্ট করে কেন? কারণ এইগুলো কিন্তু সবার, এই স্টোরিগুলো কিন্তু সবাই আমাদের স্টোরি কিন্তু। Think about Monsters Inc. আমরা যদি Monsters Inc. দিয়ে থাকি, it's about a monster who gets to become very close with a very little girl. But it's basically a father and a daughter story, right? Fathers and daughters, they will be able to connect with this movie. Toy Story is about two friends who maybe don't get along at the beginning, but then through struggles, through getting to know each other, they become best friends. Finding Nemo is about father and son. So এগুলা কিন্তু আমাদের সবার story. So this is how we get to empathize. That's how you have to first know your audience, and then you empathize with them, and then you also get them to empathize with you. So it's a two-way street.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I have a specific question regarding that. As you're in one of the area of interest is basically storytelling. So, as far as I know, you were associated with Hult Prize. So, can you explain the Hult Prize টা আপনাকে কি, I mean storytelling টা আপনাকে Hult Prize তে কিভাবে help করেছে? বা ওটার experience
This can go on forever. This can go on forever. I think
we have stories related to the Hult Prize.
Right.
So yeah, অনেক stories আছে এটার সাথে related.
See, Hult Prize-টা কিরকম ছিল আমাদের জন্য? We were regular university students from Dhaka. We were doing our classes and we were doing what regular undergraduate students do. রাস্তায় চা খাওয়া, আড্ডা মারা, ক্লাবের activities করা, স্যারদের সাথে কথা বলা। So automatically Hult Prize, what it does is it takes you to a completely different journey completely, where you know that you will be competing with world-class universities. So all of a sudden you're very serious about your product. And we were very fortunate কারণ we were a part of BRAC, এবং BRAC যেটা আমাদেরকে তখন করছিল, ওরা আমাদের জন্য they made sure that we have the best in class training. So এমনিতে ধরেন আমরা মিট করতাম আমাদের ফ্রেন্ডদের সাথে, and all of a sudden we're meeting say for example BRAC US এর head of fundraiser অথবা BRAC এর কোন একটা বড় অফিসিয়াল. So automatically that taught us so much how to interact with these people. We alhamdulillah got amazing mentors. But storytelling এর কথাটা আমি যেটা বলে শেষ করব, এটা নিয়ে I don't want to talk about this for long because আমি তাহলে কথা বলতেই থাকবো continuously. চায়নাতে যখন for the first time we saw universities like MIT, Caltech, তারপরে হচ্ছে কি আপনার Toronto University, when we saw them present, that's when we realized, oh my god, বিশ্বাস করেন আমাদের বিজনেস মডেল আর বিদেশি ইউনিভার্সিটিগুলোর বিজনেস মডেল 80%, maybe 90% same, because target market same, আপনার revenue generating model exactly the same, but the way they told the story with the visuals, I remember the team that won, they started their presentation with a bang. They screamed like my grandfather, and they started telling a story about how ওদের সবার দাদা বা নানা বা বাবা ডায়াবেটিসে আক্রান্ত এবং ওদের পার্সোনাল লাইফ খুবই এফেক্টেড হয়েছে, সো অটোমেটিক্যালি এমপ্যাথির ইয়াতে ওরা আপনাকে হুক করে নিয়ে নিল, and then eventually they go into the business model and how they will change everything. So I think for me that was a litmus test. Okay, that's the world standard and I need to be there. And I also learned যে data কিভাবে story through the present করা হয় আর কি। And then personal stories and learning stories তো আসেই, যে আপনার ধরেন যে আমাদের যে টিমটা ছিল, we became very close, we created individual stories with each other. Now students can ask যে আপনার personal story দিয়ে আমি কি করব, but এই যে story গুলো যে form করছে, they're still helping us today with our personal lives, because the connections that we made, the way we got to know each other, we still help each other with our professional lives till today.
And I think the learnings that we got, এখানে অনেক যেমন for example আমরা স্টোরিতে কিন্তু Niloy, there are challenges, there are a lot of hurdles that we overcame, and then also how we resolved conflict, how we solved problems, and also amazing memories. So even creating amazing memories, this is also something that we can inspire with. So a story
Right.
this can be something that helps others,
Right.
because the troubles that we faced, the mistakes that we made, through our stories, others won't make those mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
these stories have lessons for others as well.
আমি ছোট্ট একটা জিনিস অ্যাড করি, যে আমাদের প্রেজেন্টেশনের আগের দিন মেহরাব ভাই যেটা
জি।
হয়েছিল যে we didn't take enough laptops. I thought Habib will take it, Habib thought I will take it, so আমরা কেউ ল্যাপটপ নেই নাই। So we in পুরো টিমের মধ্যে I think we had one laptop. আমাদের প্রেজেন্টেশন বানানোর শেষ হয়ে গেছিল,
চৌধুরীর ল্যাপটপ ছিল।
হ্যাঁ, আসিফ চৌধুরীর ল্যাপটপ ছিল। And then so the story I want to tell you যে 11th hour we needed a charger because আমাদের চার্জারটা নষ্ট হয়ে গেছে। So I went downstairs and I was looking for anybody যার কাছ থেকে আমি একটা চার্জার বড় করতে পারবো। There was this German guy যারে আমি সরাসরি বললাম যে আমি কি তোমার চার্জারটা বড় করতে পারি নাকি, and then he thought আমি ডাকাত। Like he got freaked out যে okay আমার চার্জার কেন চাইতেছো তুমি? Then I was like okay, then I told him the story that we are 5 students from Bangladesh, we're competing in a global competition, it's tomorrow. And when he heard the story and he felt empathetic, this stranger German guy gave me his charger, and পরের দিন সকালবেলা আমরা হচ্ছে ওকে দিয়ে আসছি আর কি। সো ওই ইভেন আপনার পার্সোনাল ইন্টারাকশনের মধ্যেও স্টোরিটা খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট, দ্যাট ডু আই লাইক ইউর স্টোরি অর নট, do I like your story or not, do I believe your story or not, can I connect with your story? Hull price day, I think there should be a separate session for
sharing the
there's
Hull price experience.
There's so many stories. And then we also mentor the teams after us every year, and so they learn from our stories, they don't make the same mistakes, they make new mistakes, and then it gets passed on to the next year students, and then they make new students, and then we are getting constant very good results. Yeah, Mehrab, over to you.
Okay, great. Habib, do you want to add something into it?
I think I will talk about that laptop story a little bit more, because there was another lesson
Habib,
there.
do you want to add something?
Yeah. What I was saying is I'll continue with that laptop story, because there's one more lesson there, and এই লেসনটা actually আমি আমার সব স্টুডেন্টদের সাথে প্রত্যেক ব্যাচে I share this story, because আমরা যে একটা ল্যাপটপ নিয়ে গেছিলাম, থ্যাংক গড যে আমরা একটা ল্যাপটপ নিয়ে গেছিলাম, because what happened is আমাদের হাল্ট প্রাইজের যে অর্গানাইজার ছিল, দে আর ফ্রম দি হাল্ট বিজনেস স্কুল, চায়না সাংহাইতে অর্গানাইজ করছে। আপনি কখনো চিন্তাও করবেন না যে এরকম একটা ওয়েল অর্গানাইজ সেশনে টেকনিক্যাল ডিফিকাল্টিজ হবে, বাট দ্যাটস হোয়াট হ্যাপেন্ড। আমরা যে কম্পিউটারে যে প্রেজেন্টেশনটা প্লে হচ্ছিল, দ্য কম্পিউটার ক্র্যাশড, রিস্টার্ট করলাম কম্পিউটারটা, again it crashed. So আমাদের প্রেজেন্টেশনটা 3 বার স্টার্ট করেছে, 3 বার our presentation crashed. So what happened is Asif Chaudhury's laptop was there. And at the end of the day, they were like, do you guys have a laptop? I think we should go with that laptop. So ওই ব্যাকআপটা থাকাতে আমরা আমাদের প্রেজেন্টেশনটা প্রপারলি জাজদের সামনে দিতে পেরেছি, and we were still confident and we had that great experience. নাহলে chances are আমাদের হয়তো প্রেজেন্টেশনটা ওই সময় ওইভাবে দেওয়া হতো না। So this lesson actually যেটা আমার স্টুডেন্টদের সাথে শেয়ার করি যে you might be ready with storytelling, you might be ready with the deck, you might have the best presentation in the world, but if you don't have a backup plan for the worst case scenario, things can go wrong. So I think with your storytelling, preparation is also very important from every possible angle.
Yeah.
So storytelling actually helped you actually in that Hull Prize experience.
It did.
It did. I think more than storytelling helping us, I think we learned that stories are very powerful, and ওই হাল্টের 6 মাসের এক্সপেরিয়েন্সটা যেটা করছে সেটা হচ্ছে কি যে it like when you swim in the ocean, you will swim very well in a swimming pool. I think that's what halter experience did for us, that after that experience we were a lot more confident with our studies, and even when we arranged everything the next year, I think we could take a look at the entire situation from a bigger perspective, that even if we don't get money from the institute, we'll just raise the fund. Otherwise, like এক বছর আগে যদি আমাদেরকে বলতো, আমরা হয়তো ওয়েট করতাম এক্সটার্নাল ফান্ডের জন্য। সো ওই কারেজটা আসছে আর কি আমাদের ওই স্টুডেন্ট থাকা অবস্থায়, যে ওকে no matter how big the task is, we'll do it.
Wonderful, that's great. So is there any specific method যেটা থ্রুতে আমি স্টোরি টেলিংকে একটু এফেক্টিভ করতে পারি, বা any specific techniques যেটার মাধ্যমে আর একটু বেটার করতে পারি আমার পার্সোনাল লাইফ স্টোরি, or কোনো মেথড নাই?
Niloy, you want to take this?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. There are methods, and at the same time, it is expected from you that you will learn the methods and then break free from the methods, that you will develop your own way of storytelling. That's what's expected out of you. Let me repeat this. Learn the methods, be a master storyteller, and be at that point where you're not following any method. That way, the stories are coming to you naturally. I will give example of one latest method that I am teaching my students currently. When you're, say for example, in your since it's a student centric talk, I will talk about the students. Say তোমার final presentation, say তোমার কোন একটা product innovation বা তোমার marketing কোর্সের বা HR কোর্সের কোন একটা final presentation তুমি দিবা। এখন তোমাকে কোনো কিছু একটা বানাইতে বলা হয়েছে বা কোনো একটা particular কোনো কিছু নিয়ে তুমি present করবা। So the method goes like the normal, the explosion, and the new normal. What is the normal? For example, আগে আমরা ঢাকায় জ্যামে বসে থাকতাম ঘন্টার পর ঘন্টা, সিএনজি অনেক বেশি ভাড়া চাইতো, তো তখন হচ্ছে কি আমাকে অফিসে যেতে অনেক বেগ পাইতে হইতো, আমি অফিসে যেতে পারতেছি না। So that's the normal. What's the explosion? The introduction of Pathao, Uber, and all these ride sharing apps. So এখন automatically কি হইলো, you can sit somewhere, and then you can call an Uber, or you can call a Pathao car, and it comes to you, it takes you to your desired destination. So that's the impact, that's the boom. And what's the new normal? The problem with traffic is not completely gone, but it's going away slowly. So that's one method of impactful storytelling, the normal, the explosion, and the new normal. এখন এখানে every story has a psychological factor. So এখন এই স্টোরিটার আপনি একটা জিনিস খেয়াল করেন যে why is Uber so famous, Habib? What do you think Uber specialty টা কি?
Uber specialty হলো is the মানে as a business যদি বলি, the concept of crowdsourcing. They don't have to have their own assets.
Right.
They
but
can,
from a consumer perspective, why do you like Uber so much? তুমি ফোন দিয়ে একটা গাড়ি ডাকতে পারতেছো।
Exactly. I don't need to find a taxi anymore.
Exactly, huh? But for last 100 years, you can call a taxi using your phone. What makes Uber so special is because you can see where the taxi driver is, and knowing that, okay, 5 minutes, okay, 3 minutes. So a psychological factor, and the whole story, okay, somebody is coming for me, coming to get me. That has more impact. So that's one method the students can follow. And side by side, the whole, of course, the classic, you start with your story with something that's very interesting and you end maybe with a conclusion. But whatever you do, make sure that you don't get stuck in one method, that you keep on learning and unlearn what's irrelevant. Habib, do you want to add to this?
Okay, so
Yeah,
basically,
I
it's
think
like an art. It's like an art, just like painting, I guess.
it's like an art, Mehrab bhai, but there is also structure. You will find different definitions of the structure from different sources. Niloy spoke of one classic method, that's the structure, but storytelling does have a structure. There is a science behind the storytelling. Now, it may vary from the scientist to the other scientist, but there has to be a structure. So classically, what Niloy said, the normal and then the explosion, the new normal. Filmmakers, what they do is they have a start, they have a situation, and then they throw in a challenge, right? So you have a situation, and then there's a challenge, and then there's the hero trying to face the challenge, and then there's the hero who has resolved the challenge. So stories are usually like this. Like you have a situation where there's the hero, and then you introduce the problem, and then the hero is trying to resolve the problem, and then you have the situation where the problem is resolved. So your stories in a presentation will also follow a similar method. You'll have maybe, for
Yeah.
example, a background. You'll have a background of where things stand right now, and then you will find there is a problem that needs to be addressed. এখন এটা হতে পারে hard price যেমন problems, there social problems, it can be health related problems, it can be maybe need for a new software or a new application to solve some problem. And then you have the solution, you have the application. Problem কি ছিল? We couldn't find taxis when we needed them. We need to stand in a place, we need to hail the taxi, they'll stop for us, they won't stop for us. What did Uber do? The solution, the hero fought the evil and came up with the app where you get to choose where you will go and who will pick you up. And then you have the new situation, the normal or the resolved situation, where you have an app and you are able to go anywhere at your own fingertips. So there is this is the structure of a story. এখন এই স্ট্রাকচারের মধ্যে কিন্তু মাল্টিপল স্টোরিজ আসতে পারে. When you are making a presentation, maybe you will make a presentation where maybe you will tell multiple stories. Yeah. So a guy making that Uber presentation to all the investors, I'm sure he told a number of stories. He told stories of his problems. He told stories of that boom idea that he had because he saw one day someone maybe playing with his phone and someone ordered something, and from that he made a connection to cars, and then he had the new idea, which was Uber app. So there are multiple stories in that one flow of stories. And stories, আমি যদি প্রেজেন্টেশনের কথা বলি স্টুডেন্টদের জন্য, you don't have to have only one story. You can have a story at the start, you can have a story at the middle, you can have a story at the end, you can have a story at all three of these points, you can have a story in one of those points.
It doesn't have to be only one story.
Exactly. So there is no fixed formula. Work with what works for that presentation. ওই প্রেজেন্টেশনের জন্য কোনটা সবচেয়ে ভালো কাজ করবে, go with that. But advice is it always helps to have a story because we resonate with stories. আমাদের মানে এটা Niloy basically he talks about this a lot in his classes. আমাদের মানে আমাদের জিন্সের মধ্যে কিন্তু এই যে love for storytelling or the love for hearing stories, এটা আমাদের মধ্যে embedded কিন্তু. We love to listen to stories because মানে ছোটবেলা থেকে আমাদেরকে আমাদের প্যারেন্টস স্টোরি বলেছে। এবং আমি যদি হিউম্যান বিইংস এর কথা বলি, আমরা যখন ছোট ছিলাম, আমরা যখন কেভম্যান ছিলাম, আমরাও কিন্তু বেসিক্যালি কমিউনিকেট করতাম স্টোরিজ এর থ্রুতে। আমার দিনে আই ওয়েন্ট আউট ফর দ্য হান্ট, আমি হান্ট করে যখন বাসায় আসছি, আমি আমার ফ্যামিলির সাথে, there was no entertainment, there was no television, there was no radio, they would sit around the fire and then they would tell their stories, what the mom did at home, what the dad did hunting some dinosaur. So there were these stories that you would tell, right? So এটা আমাদের embedded কিন্তু। এবং আমি যদি আরেকটু এক্সটেন্ড করি, মানে স্টোরি টেলিং, মানে লেগেসি অফ স্টোরি টেলিং ইজ এভরিওয়্যার। আমি যদি আমাদের মানে রিলিজনের কথা বলি, ইভেন the Quran is mostly কিন্তু stories. I don't know if you have ever reflected on that. Quran Sharifের কিন্তু most of the content, 60 to 70 to even 80% is all stories. Stories of the prophets, stories of how the universe was created, stories of the end of times. So it's all stories, right? And why did the Lord go with stories? Because stories এর থ্রুতেই কিন্তু আমরা lessons নেই। আমাদেরকে যে ডিরেক্টলি বলা হয় যে এটা করো, আমরা করি না, কিন্তু আমাদের যে বলা হয় যে আগের জেনারেশনকে বলা হয়েছিল, ওরা শুনে নাই, দেখো কি হয়েছে ওদের, এখন তোমরা শুনো। সো ওই স্টোরি
Yeah.
বলে তখন হচ্ছে যে আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে আমার তাহলে
Right.
একটু ভালো হওয়া উচিত। So stories এর থ্রুতে মানে everywhere. So different structures for different stories.
So,
Right.
so basically it's a science as well as an art. So যদি আমরা মিক্স করে বলি এটা অবশ্যই সায়েন্স
Absolutely.
এটা আর্ট as well. So
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
যার যেভাবে I mean better হয়। Okay, so আমি যেটা এতক্ষণ বুঝলাম যে as per the discussions, what I could understand that if you think about the bigger picture, and one of the most crucial elements that I have got from tonight's discussion is basically that we need to have a basic purpose, right? Because a purpose must be there if we want to do something that is really impactful, and it also needs to be there if we want the impact to be genuine as well. So our purpose, how do we actually set the purpose, or how do we identify the purpose? Okay, যে আমি এই purpose এর স্টোরিটা বলছি, so does it need to have a purpose or not?
Always you need to have a purpose. That's my opinion. Always, like when an entertainer is telling a story, his purpose is to entertain his audience. When a stand-up comedian is telling a story, his purpose is to make you laugh, right? And when you're telling a story at work, your purpose is probably to get the guy from finance to give you the approval. Or when you're telling the story to investors, your purpose is to get the investor to sign off your seed fund. So I think stories with a purpose থাকলে যেটা হয় কি, it gives you direction, and the chances of getting the impact is a lot higher than just telling a meaningless story that goes everywhere. I tell my students a lot that এটা Seth Godin-এর একটা quote, one of my favorite marketeers. He says, don't waste a sentence saying nothing. That your word or whatever you're saying should have a purpose. Like my purpose today is to make new friends in a city that is not mine. Like I come from Dhaka, but I was fortunate enough to talk to a number of you who are listening to me from Chittagong, and I was connected to you. So, and also that tribe-এর একটা কথা আছে যে you get an idea and you try and disperse that idea to as many people as you can individually, one at a time. So you make your own tribe. So that is my purpose of storytelling, of things that I believe in. Like I talk about music because I want people to listen to my kind of music. Habib, for example, he will talk about gaming, food, movies. He will try and enrich his circle through his interests. It's normal. When you see something nice on the road, you come home, you probably tell your parents, hey, look, this is what I saw today. So you always inherently we like sharing. And knowing the অনেকে যেটা হয় যে they don't know the purpose, but still they have a purpose. So I think more than addressing the fact that যে purpose থাকা উচিত কি না উচিত, এটা আমাদের ধরে নিতে হবে যে সবসময় একটা purpose আছে, আমাদের জানা উচিত যে আমাদের purpose-টা কি. Because once I know my purpose, read a great book, Simon Sinek, Start with Why.
Why?
You will
I've read it already.
Exactly. So he talks about he talks about what you just said, that the purpose, the Wright brothers and the famous guy who was trying to invent how to fight, they were in it for different purposes, right? So you always have a purpose as long as you know what your purpose is. I think that's the magic.
Great. So do you want to say something about it?
আমি just short যদি বলি যে the opposite of not having a purpose, actually it can do more harm than good.
Yes.
So it can actually throw off your audience. Like for example, you have a story you have to tell, and you're telling the story but you don't know where it's going, or maybe it's not even connected to the subject at hand. What happens is it can actually throw off your audience, and they might lose their confidence in you. So I think purpose is very important.
Can I interrupt for a second? Yeah. So Mehrab bhai, আমরা সেকেন্ড ইয়ারে হাল থেকে ফেরত আসার পরে আমরা হচ্ছে কি ইউনিভার্সিটিতে অ্যারেঞ্জ করছিলাম আর কি, হ্যাঁ। So we did it very seriously with and we went all out with our resources and our connections and our time. Our families were very disappointed যে কি করতেছো তোমরা, but that's that. So একটা প্যানেলে we had two of the biggest judges, the most experienced professor and also our mentor. I'm not going to take any names. So, but these two teachers were very respected. And one of the teams, entire 10 minutes of presentation, they didn't have any purpose. They were very bad bolbo na, but they didn't have any direction or any purpose.
They didn't know why they were there.
Yeah, they didn't know why they were there. They took a bunch of other things that seemed cool. ওদের একটা ফ্রেন্ডের বিজনেস আছে, ওটা থেকে আরেকটা ফ্রেন্ডের বিজনেস আছে, and then they were, just 10 minutes they just uttered random words and they left. So I remember one of the professors, he looks at us and he says, what a bunch of jokers. And then he says it was completely off target. So that taught me, okay, fine. So if that goes with Habib's point that he just made, that if you tell a story without a purpose, I think it's more harmful than not telling a story at all. Yeah, it can backfire.
Great. তার মানে হচ্ছে যদি আমি purpose খুঁজে বের করতে চাই, at first I need to be aware of my own purpose. I need to aware of my own emotions. In other words, that we need to be really self-aware. I mean, যদি নিজে না জানি যে what is my purpose, that will destroy my story. Absolutely, will destroy my story.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think just one word that you used, Mehrab, I wanted to connect to that. You mentioned the word emotions. I think this is a very, very important word that I did not mention yet, but I think stories are mostly connected. They connect the most with emotions. And the best effect you will have with your story is if you can connect your story with an emotion. Think of it this way. We see, for example, brands, right? We see brands like maybe Rolex. Some of the people will go for Rolex. Some of the people will go for Mercedes. They have this affection towards brand, right? But why do they connect with their brand? And they're willing to let go of so much money to get hold of that one watch on your wrist, right? It's because it's connecting. It has a story of its history and how it is all about luxury, and it tells a story about who you are. And a emotion doesn't touch it. It touches me, my emotion, that okay, I want to get that prestige when I wear this Rolex watch. So this Rolex's story or BMW story or Mercedes story, it touches those emotions, the different notes. Even Coca-Cola, same goes for Coca-Cola, same goes for all the other brands that we can think of, and all the other things that we aspire for, that touch certain emotions for us. And that's where storytelling gets the most strength. Niloy যে স্টোরিটা বললো about that university team, York University team ছিল, হাল প্রাইজ আমাদের রাউন্ডে they won. They touched emotions, right? Talking about their grandparents and their parents, and they touched on the emotion of sadness and also the emotion of fear, that if they did not take care of detecting diabetes at an early stage, the fear of losing a loved one. So I think it also comes to that understand that you also need to connect your stories at the end of the day to people's emotions. How can you trigger those emotions through your story?
Absolutely. Gudbha, do you want to say something regarding it?
Yeah, of course. I actually have something for your students. If you take a look at the comments section, you'll see that I shared a video.
Exactly.
Right. So the story with this is when you're telling us, for example, এই অ্যাডভার্টাইজমেন্টটা হচ্ছে কি, এটা দেখায় যে ইন্ডিয়া এবং পাকিস্তানের দেশ বিভাগের পরে অনেক বছর পরে দুইটা ফ্রেন্ড they get reunited. তো এখন এটা দেখলেই আপনারা বুঝতে পারবেন, স্টুডেন্টরা যারা আছেন আপনারা একটু কাইন্ডলি দেখে নিন। সো এখন আমি যদি বলতাম যে আপনি গুগলের থ্রুতে ফ্লাইট বুক করতে পারবেন, ওয়েদার দেখতে পারবেন, ভিসা চেক করতে পারবেন, it will just be in the back of your head. You're like, oh, আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, ফাইন, যাও। কিন্তু আমি যদি দেখাই আপনাকে যে আপনার 47 দেশভাগের পরে দুইটা বন্ধু আলাদা হয়ে গেছে এবং তারা হচ্ছে গিয়ে স্টোরির থ্রুতে হচ্ছে গিয়ে যে আপনাকে বলে যে ছোটবেলায় ওর ফ্রেন্ডের সাথে একটা জায়গায় জিলাপি খাইতে যাইতো, তো ওর নাতি তখন গুগলে খুঁজে বাইর করে যে লাহোরে জিলাপির দোকান কি কি আছে না আছে। সো you're using these technologies and then it shows how the nati is booking a ticket, making phone calls, checking for weather, and packing an umbrella for the grandfather. And when you see this advertisement, And if you don't cry, then I think you lack human emotions. I have made at least 50 people watch this in my classes, and my friends and family. Everybody cried. So brands, again, this is the market here in me speaking up. When the brands tell stories and you connect with them on an emotional level, you remember that information. You always remember that film that made you cry, right? You always remember that one stand-up comedian that made you laugh and laugh and laugh. But you don't remember somebody telling you, hey, to me, eta korle eta hobe. You don't remember
Right.
information. You remember stories. So a request to the students, please watch that advertisement and then try and see how they're telling you information through stories, and how you will remember that forever. So I think you did a great job bringing up the word emotion. Otherwise, we will leave out a big part of storytelling, that emotional appeal. So thank you very much, Mehrab bhai. This was, I think, আমরা দুজনেই ভুলে যেতাম জিনিসটা।
Are actually a very powerful tool actually that can touch your heart. Okay, I think we have one question, and it's by Nabila Tasneem, and she's asking that can you suggest a book which has changed your perspective on certain aspects of your life and is still stuck with you? Okay, so maybe she wants to know that whether you have read any book that has changed your entire perspective regarding life. So again, related to life philosophy as well.
Many. There's so many.
Could you name some? I think that will be valuable for our students.
There are many. Like, there's no one book that changes one's perspective. That's my belief. Like, you keep on reading. You always keep on reading. But one of the books that has done that in recent times for me is the book Outliers. I would suggest, I don't know if you guys have read the book. Maybe Nabila has, I'm not sure. But if she has not, I would suggest the book Outliers, because Outliers is a book about, the word outliers means people who stand out, right? Like, if I say very bluntly, boita aro sundor kore eta define kore, but people like, for example, Einstein, people like Sir Isaac Newton, people like Imam Ghazali, these are outliers. These are people who are not part of the pack. They are people who have outstood everyone else.
Yeah.
But what makes them outstand? What makes them their, is it their childhood? Is it the way they think? Is it the way they have grown up? So এই বইটা, এই জিনিসটা basically ওই outliers কে highlight করে, and you can pick up things from those outliers that you can adopt in your own life. That is one. And I would also suggest Robin Sharma. You guys can look it up. Robin Sharma's books. They tell a story very indirectly. They don't tell you the story directly, but message গুলো অনেক indirectly through stories there. They're very inspiring, and they all have a message. So I would suggest these two books. And Niloy named Simon Sinek.
Start with Why.
Amazing. Start with Why. It's one of his books, and he's also available on YouTube. Just go write Simon Sinek, and a whole new world of thinking will open for you. Very
This
inspirational,
guy-
and he's not just motivational. He actually talks with structure.
Yeah, he's not. I think motivational speaker, the impact of that word has been diluted down in our context for last few years. But Simon Sinek is actually what we call a motivational speaker. This man has achieved everything that you achieve professionally, right? And he does advertising in New York for about 10 to 15 years, and then he decides to write a book. So if you want to be in the storytelling business, which is every business there is, I think Simon Sinek is a very good starting point. Because look, you don't have to believe everything that Simon Sinek is saying, but think and try and go where the man is trying to take you. So a very good suggestion from both Habib and I would be Simon Sinek, start with Why. And আমার personal reading list যদি জিজ্ঞেস করেন, personal reading list, I read a lot about I read a lot about marketing. So that's if you are interested in marketing, you can ask me and I can tell you privately, but that's not for everybody. Like, I will read Seth Godin. The last book I read was Purple Cow, and then everything marketing changed my perspective. A lot of the old ideas, but with excellent examples. One book that changed my mind and my perspective about life was Steve Jobs' autobiography. That's his own book. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. You can read that. Well, he has this line. He says that you can't connect the dots looking forward. You have to look back and connect the dots. Like what you're doing now, maybe it seemed like there is no impact to it, but 10 years from now, whatever you did 10 years ago will come in handy. For example, second year আমরা সিনিয়রদের জন্য চেয়ার ছাইড়া দিতাম, রাইট? খুব খারাপ লাগতো, বসে বসে আছি, সিনিয়র আসছে একদম, চেয়ার ছেড়ে দিতে হবে, right? We didn't like it. 10 years from then, the same seniors are looking out for us. They are giving us job interviews. They are teaching us how to negotiate with our difficult bosses. They are teaching us corporate strategies. They're giving us introductions to future clients. We're talking in millions, guys. We're not talking quite hazar taka. So again, that's something that I learned from Steve Jobs. And I read a lot of books about my favorite bands. I believe that you should read whatever you want to read. And if you only read for learning, then again it becomes very dull. Just read. If you don't want to read, go listen to audiobooks. There are audiobooks. Like you will learn so much about writing and sentence structures just by reading Harry Potter book 1. So learning is very, very passive. So that's a beautiful question, Nabila. And if you have more questions about books, just reach out to Habib and I. We will love to answer your questions.
Great. What I could have understand is basically that our experiences later on becomes our very own story. So what we experience
always
after 10 years, we will be able to connect the dots, and we can just have a look at it, that how our story looks like.
Yeah, and Mehrab, just a suggestion. Apart from books, I will always say there is no alternative to books, and I stick by it. I always will stick by it that there are no alternative to books. But if you have to look, if you always want to learn more, YouTube is a beautiful, beautiful platform that is in everyone's hands nowadays, right? And we said some names. Apart from that, if any of the students have not, TEDx videos are all available to you free of cost on YouTube, and you can learn the entire world of storytelling listening to these amazing storytellers on TEDx. Some of the top videos in TEDx, those that have the millions of views, 80 to 85% of them are through storytelling. They do their sessions through storytelling. And then you get to see how universal the approach of storytelling is. And everyone has their own style. Some of them are very interactive, some of them are shocking, and some of them are very, very hooked. They have this amazing hook to capture you. So you can learn so much about storytelling by watching these TEDx videos.
Thank you so much. Yes, Mukit, please.
No, I was adding to something that Habib said. Shock, I think, is a very impactful tool if you need something to stick in your audience's mind. But I don't know if it's sustainable or not. I saw one of my professors do it back in Glasgow, but it was impactful, but it wasn't sustainable. Like I wouldn't go back to her class. But the examples that she used, they were very shocking, so I remembered them. So it's a double-edged sword. Just a thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys, so thank you so much. And now we are almost at the end of this webinar. And I would like to thank our guest speakers for managing their time and sharing their valuable knowledge, which was indeed very insightful. And it was really an informative and amazing session where we have learned a lot about storytelling, as in the concept of storytelling, the methods or techniques, and how we can personalize it, etc. And we would like to see you again at Delta University when the pandemic is over, and maybe through another webinar.
Of course.
So we will obviously stay connected, inshallah. And I think it will really help all of us to design our own story, which will be really impactful. And I would also like to thank the audiences who have joined us tonight. And a special thank goes to the entire IT and admin team of Delta University, without whom it wouldn't have been possible to conduct the webinar smoothly. So a big thanks to them. And now we're at a point where we can conclude this webinar. So if you want to say anything, then you can add. And
a big thanks to you and Noshin for reaching out to us and for the beautiful preparation and hand-holding that you did from before the event through the session up until now. So beautiful session, and big hats off to EDU for arranging these wonderful sessions. I've seen a few of your previous ones as well. They were also very interesting topics and very well structured. I think these help your students, and I'm sure they will help others as well. If there are people outside of EDU who'd like to come and watch these, I think they can benefit from these as well. So hats off to you guys, and thank you for
Thank
this
you so
wonderful
much.
session. If your students have any questions afterwards, if you guys have any questions afterwards, you'd like to know more, Niloy and I are here, so you can always reach out to us.
Absolutely, thank you so much. So I think we have some messages. They say, hello, Habib bhai and Mukit bhai. Question to both of you: how would you respond to someone saying that they didn't like Harry Potter? How exactly would you encourage them to go for any particular genre? And the last one is asked by Minhajuddin Akhand, and he's saying it was a really good session. Thank you, Mukit sir, Habib sir, and Mehrab sir for arranging. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Minhaj. So maybe we can conclude by answering Mr. Ribhu Yashrif's question, if you want to add something.
From my end, I am a big Potterhead. I am a very big Potterhead, and I think I will suggest to him, if he has not read Harry Potter yet, I think he will find something that he can connect to while reading Harry Potter. I think there's something for children, definitely, but a lot of adults, they will have a new perspective once they read Harry Potter for the first time or for the second time. So I would suggest that you go in there and give the first book a try. You might get amazed.
I don't think Rivu will like my answer. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Harry Potter, Rivu, but I read half of book one because everybody around me, they're huge fans. And I also went to school in Glasgow. So I was actually there where she wrote book one. And I actually saw the landmarks where she got inspired from. So I read a few chapters there. I learned how to write so much. And I wish that I could finish the whole thing. But, I got distracted every time and I read something else. So, yeah.
I think, Rivu, what I would suggest regarding your question of genre, I think, there are so many genres out there, right? Find the genre, try everything. If I talk about my own experience, I try fantasy, I try autobiographies, I try political thrillers, and there have been times I have been surprised. I never thought I would like Dan Brown books, but I have been taken by surprise. I never thought I would like books like the ones I mentioned, Robin Sharma books. I never thought I would like them, but then I could connect to my personal experiences through these books. So I would suggest give books a try and also read up on reviews. Goodreads is a very good place to find out reviews of books. Maybe before jumping into a book, find a little bit about it, do a little review of it, and if it excites you, give it a try.
Habib, last question to you. Sorry, Mehrab, we're taking more time. Go read Humayun Ahmed. Have you read Humayun Ahmed yet?
I have watched Humayun Ahmed. I have read a little of Humayun Ahmed in your room. হিমুর একটা বই ছিল তোমার হিমুর একটা বই ছিল তোমার রুমে আমি যতটুকু পড়েছিলাম I was enjoying it a lot but never went back to it.
একটা Humayun Ahmed boy I want to suggest to everybody. It's a historical book named Badshah Namdar. This is a book that I read every time I am stressed or something is going on. The beauty of this book is you will learn so much about your own history and background, and at the same time it's a mesmerizing story. So I think that would be my concluding sentence. Read Badshah Namdar from Humayun Ahmed. And Mehrab bhai, thank you very much for everything. Thank you. You have been so kind to us, and
it was wonderful to have you here. And we're looking forward to have you again with us.
Mezban khaite hobe
amader.
Absolutely. Don't worry.
In person and virtual, inshallah.
Okay, Mukit bhai and Habib bhai, thank you so much for coming and giving us your valuable time. It was really insightful and informative. Looking forward to have you again. But please be safe as the time is not that much good.
Same to you. Same to you.
Same to you and all
safe to you and your family.
Okay, assalamu alaikum and good night. Stay safe.
Assalamu alaikum everyone.